Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video right here on XRP. We're going to do a full update on XRP. The price action has been very, very interesting to say the least. But we'll also talk a little bit about tonight. Tonight we have the interest rate decision, which, by the way, if you want to have a good time tonight, if you want to follow everything that's going on during the press conference of the interest rate decision, which will by far be the most important part, because we know the interest rate is going to be cut by 25 base points. Or at least the probability of that at this point of time is incredibly high. I'm not sure what it is exactly. But the press conference and all the remarks will be very important for crypto, but will also be very important for XRP, right? So we'll also talk about XRP a little bit in that video. So if you're interested in that, tune in. But for now, we're going to talk about XRP right here on the short term. Not much has happened over the course of the last 24 hours, although I'm still relatively positive about XRP. I mean, something we spoke about yesterday was that yesterday morning we saw quite a lot of momentum coming in for not only XRP but also for its big friend Stellar XLM, and I've seen it a couple of times in the last 24 hours where XRP and XLM are actually relatively strong. And I think that's good to see. There have been times in the past where you see these brief moments and brief periods of outperformance from XRP and XLM against kind of the market, where that has led to some great things. So far, however, it hasn't really led to anything major. If you take a look at the open interest, you can see yesterday it's very small, but okay. You can see yesterday we had some leverage coming in, but that leverage is also already getting back out of the price. So the risk appetite for XRP doesn't seem too high at this point of time. And I understand why. I mean, going into an interest rate decision, I highly recommend you to check out the last 3 years of interest rate decision days. And you can see that those days are usually bearish and usually very volatile, right? And even though XRP compared to the market is actually relatively stable and actually relatively, strong, I would argue even, it can be volatile, right? And if you zoom all the way out if we zoom all the way in for XRP right here and we look at the 30-minute time frame, but then we zoom all the way out, what you can see is that there are still some imbalances all the way down here, right? And we have the 30-day rolling VWAP and the 90-day rolling VWAP a bit lower. Those can be retested. So ultimately, I think it's good to be cautious right here on XRP on the lower time frames, right? So 4 hour and down. I know a lot of you will not call that low time frames, but I would. So I think it's good to be aware that from there it actually looks quite likely we're still going to push down into potentially 2.95. Where we also still have a fair value gap at 2.92. I think that's quite likely that we'll see a push down into that. What I've always said in the last couple of videos is that I think you need to be prepared for a move into 2.85, 2.84. Honestly, if that happens, I was wrong, right? Because even though it's possible that we drop down into that, it's not what I expect. I expect a more shallow pullback. And I expect us to, on the higher time frames, like if you look at the 12-hour time frame, if you look at the daily time frame, right here, I do expect us to push down, right? I think that's fair. I think that's to be expected. But I expect the pullback to be relatively shallow. And I expect us to, from that pullback, head back up to 3.12, which is an intraday resistance level. And then from there, head up to that value area high at 3.3. That's what I expect, right? I think XRP has been too strong. I think the market has been too strong, which is also incredibly relevant, of course, for us to push back all the way into 2.84. If we do push all the way down into 2.85, 2.84, let's say that Jerome Powell says some very very unwanted things during the press conference, then I do think that's a decent area to buy into. I mean, you could set some low risk spot orders there, I suppose. But that it's not financial advice. But it's still like dropping down into 2.84 is not the worst case scenario, and it's also not the end of the world. But it's not what I expect. Those are my thoughts. That's what I think you need to know for now. So if you do have any questions, let me know down in the comments. But for now, have a great day, everybody. Take care and bye.